The Bible tells us in Revelation 12 and 13 that the devil deceived the whole world. And it may well be that this is another case of him deceiving. There were plenty of people who seemed to have prior knowledge of what was happening in New York. In fact, even the media seemed complicit on it.
Now, more on the latest building collapse in New York. You might have heard a few moments ago, was talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing. And indeed it has. Apparently that's only a few hundred yards away from where the World Trade Center towers were. And it seems that this was not a result of a new attack. It was because the building had been weakened during this morning's attacks. We'll probably find out more now about that from our correspondent, Jane Stanley. Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse?
Well, only really what you already know. Details are very, very sketchy. As you can see behind me, the Trade Center appears to be still burning.
Hollywood had numerous videos that were telling us of these things before they had come to pass.
You're saying our government plans to commit a terrorist act against a domestic airline?
There you go. Dating the entire government as usual. It's a faction. A small factional weapon.
You said they intend to bring us down in the middle of New York City?
More on that now.
The World Trade Center. We're going to crash the plane into the World Trade Center.
Including a board game called the Illuminati, which was made in 1995. How could they foresee this 6 years before it happened? Perhaps they had prior knowledge. For anyone doing the math, that means that someone was either very lucky when making these cards, had divine insight, or else was in on a giant conspiracy.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably Tennessee, that says, "Fool me once, shame on you." Fool me, can't get fooled again.
In 1997, the episode called City of New York vs. Homer Simpson, we see this blatant 9/11 reference to the Twin Towers in their show.
Of course, you'll have a bad impression of New York if you only focus on the pimps and the chuds.
Oh, I'd love to see New York. We could all go with the bus company's special super.
This doesn't just happen by chance. Also, in another episode from 1993, we see a picture in the background with the towers burning. That is 8 years before it actually happened. That means that there was advanced knowledge by certain people, and they are telling you these things before it happened. In the 1985 movie Back to the Future, there are numerous scenes that make reference to the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001. In one scene, there is a surprise attack by Muslim terrorists. Interestingly, their attack is at the Twin Pines Mall, which is a reference to the Twin Towers. When you turn the sign upside down, the clock on the mall reads 9/11. The Twin Pines are a symbol of the Twin Towers. Notice that before the terrorist attack, the mall is called the Twin Pines Mall. After the terrorist attack, the mall is then called the Lone Pine Mall. The Twin Pines are also in a future scene in Marty's house. They are on the big screen TV, but they actually morph into the Twin Towers. This is because the Twin Pines at the mall are the Twin Towers. And this movie actually predicted a Muslim terrorist attack. It also predicted the replacement of the Twin Towers with this lone Freedom Tower. Do you really believe that this was just luck to have this in these episodes? Now, sure, some might think that this could actually happen by chance, and I'm sure some could actually believe that it was just by chance if the person won the millions of dollars for 12 weeks in a row. And you might just call them lucky, but I think we can see here that it's more than luck. Now, why did I bring up the Illuminati game, The Simpsons, and the movie Back to the Future? Because all three of these also show that Donald Trump was chosen long before 9/11 to be the president. In the Illuminati game, we see this card likened to Donald Trump, portraying that enough is enough. This was a slogan of Donald Trump used on his campaign, and also notice the advertisement of him with this slogan. Now, in Back to the Future, we see Michael J. Fox with an interesting tie. Not just a tie, but twin ties, and the sun shining between the twin ties. This seems to be a depiction of the Twin Towers. But notice, he looks a lot like Donald Trump.
Well, this is what you were supposed to look like. They predicted you'd look like at 47 years old. And I have to say, they had you like a young Donald Trump. It looked like a...
It does kind of look like Donald Trump.
Yeah, it does. There is a Donald Trumpiness to it.
Huge!
Outside, we fight.
No! Please, no, I cannot be fired. I'm fired.
This movie seems to have predicted the future, it predicted Donald Trump's TV show, The Apprentice.
You're fired. 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 You're fired.
Please, no, I cannot be fired. I'm fired.
Back in 2001, when the towers came down, George W. Bush was the president of the United States. Incredible evidence existed that they were taken down by bombs and that there was insider knowledge. Most may not remember, but Bush was actually elected because of his humble foreign policy, staying out of other nations, not policing the world.
Yeah, I'm not so sure the role of the United States is to go around the world and say this is the way it's got to be. I just don't think it's the role of the United States to walk into a country and say, we do it this way, so should you.
We were certainly fooled once. Is it possible we are being fooled again? Silverstein, Trump's good friend, said regarding Building 7 that they decided to pull it.
The smartest thing to do is pull it. And they made that decision to pull. And then we watched the building collapse.
The term pull it is a term used by demolition professionals when they're about to demolish a building. Building 7 obviously was demolished. This building wasn't hit by a plane. There was no jet fuel in this building. One more point about Back to the Future that should be mentioned, and that is the fact that producer and co-writer Bob Gale mentioned that in Back to the Future Part 2, Biff's character was based on Donald Trump. In the movie, Trump or Biff ends up becoming the mayor and runs the economy into the ground. That brings me back to The Simpsons again, and Trump running the economy into the ground. An episode in 2000 was called Bart to the Future.
As you know, we've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump. How bad is it, Secretary Van Houten?
We're broke.
Donald Trump is the president, and Bart's sister Maggie is running to become the first female president. Notice the similarities to the recent election. Maggie looking like Hillary, Trump's tie. Even the electoral map on The Simpsons was the same as when Trump won. So we have to conclude that either the writers of the script were prophets who could see into the future, or they just got extremely lucky, even to the point of guessing the colors of clothing on those running for president, or they planned it all. Somehow, these two shows about the future, Bart to the Future and Back to the Future, had references to 9/11 and the Trump presidency. The Simpsons also predicted a border wall being built up in a 2009 episode called America.
You're endorsing me and you want to see it stop. How bad is it? He said, Mr. Trump, you have no idea. We have the equipment, we have everything. We're told to stand back and let people just flow across like Swiss cheese, okay?
There's one, Chief.
But it's too far. You asked out there.
But there's another.
He's gonna fight you.
So,
So what am I, Superman?
there's one coming between your legs.
Where?
There, now, right now, look between your legs.
Oh, yeah. Ow. And he's too fast. So,
This immigration problem is bigger than we thought. We need a way to keep these people out of our community. What can we do to keep one group of people away from another group of people? I'll tell you! Go! That's it! We'll build a fence! Fence!
We have to do something about it, and we have to start by building a wall, a big, beautiful, powerful wall.
How do you see why we must build that fence?
Build it, homie. Make it as tall as the sky and deeper than hell.
We miss us?
Yeah, we miss you.
that's why we build a door.
We're going to build a wall. We're going to have a big, beautiful door. We want people to come in. We want people to come in legally.
What is the point of all this? Your leader is chosen for you, and we need not get into the politics. He is allowed by God, yes, but there's an agenda, and we need not be involved in the political game. That agenda, as I documented in my previous video, Donald Trump, the church, the state, and the image to the beast, is the agenda of breaking down the wall of separation of church and state, of ending the Protestant Reformation. And 2017 is the 500th year anniversary of Martin Luther nailing his 95 Theses to the castle door and beginning the protest. The Lutherans are celebrating this by putting an end to the Protestant Reformation this year and making a joint declaration with the Catholics to celebrate an end to this process.